Hey guys, it's Coach Jonathan. So I am here to tell you about my routine. Every Sunday I do a few things to make the week a little bit easier nutritionally. And basically what I want to do is I want to save myself time and money throughout the week by spending just a little bit of time preparing my food, particularly my lunches, so that during my busy work week, when I'm caught up and my schedule's crazy and all that good stuff, I can very quickly go and grab some healthy foods. So here is what I do. First of all, and this is the foundation, protein is the hardest thing. So if you get your proteins locked down, the rest of your week's going to be a lot easier. I use Tyson chicken, and sometimes I do chicken breasts. This week I'm doing chicken tenderloins, just because they're already chopped up into smaller pieces, and simpler is better for me. So I'm cooking for 3 adults, so I like to take 2 bags that are 2.5 pounds each. And what I'll do is I'll drop that in the crock pot, this bad boy right here, with some spices that I enjoy. Could be any spice, but here's what I do. So I do about 2 tablespoons of onion powder. I do about 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. I really love garlic and onion flavors, so I like to add that. I add a tablespoon of cumin, which adds kind of a nice Mexican/Spanish flair to the cuisine. I add a tablespoon of natural sea salt, which just adds a little bit of flavor to the dish, so it's not so plain. And about a tablespoon of black pepper. And lastly, for some heat, I do a little less than a tablespoon of cayenne powder. So I mix all of that together in a bowl and just kind of stir it up a little bit. I'm going to toss this in with the chicken. So easy peasy. And this isn't an exact science. I'm more of an eyeball it kind of chef than I am an exact measurement kind of chef. So there's really no way that you can screw this up unless you do 10 tablespoons of cayenne, and then it might be a little hot. So, all right. I'm just going to take this, and I've got a little bit of water here with some chicken stock in it, chicken broth. And I do low sodium chicken broth. But this just keeps it from drying out and adds a nice little substrate for your chicken as you're cooking it. So I'm going to pour this in first. And again, this isn't an exact science, at least not for me. So this is just about 20 ounces of water, maybe 4 or 5 ounces of chicken broth. Now I'm going to take my chicken, and this is tenderloins, so it's already been trimmed. It doesn't have any rib meat on it. You might just check it though to make sure that you don't have any tendons or anything like that on the chicken. You're going to look for big pieces of white gristle and stuff like that, and if you see stuff like that on the chicken, then go ahead and trim that off with some scissors. Bag number 2. Now again, I'm doing about 3,400 calories a day, and I'm cooking for 3 adults, so I'm doing a lot of protein. Okay, so I've got a bunch of chicken in the pot here. I'm just going to kind of move it around so that it's all under the cover of the liquid, and if you will see, basically, I just have a little bit more liquid than the level of the chicken. So the chicken is just slightly submerged in there. So now I'm going to take all my spices, and I'm just going to kind of shake it in there. And I'm going to mix it up, or as Sinbad used to say, I'm going to put the lime in the coconut and mix it all up. And I'm just kind of making sure that the spices are evenly distributed with the chicken so that as it cooks, you don't just have one big giant glob of spices. It's all up on the chicken, baby. Alright. So that's that. And I'm going to turn this on high for a couple of hours. And let's see, grab my lid over here. Okay. Done! And in 2 hours, I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn it on the low for about another 6 hours. So at the end of that 6 hours, I'll come back and I'll take my handy dandy fork here and I'll just kind of stir it up a little bit. And basically, the chicken should be so tender that it just falls apart when you start stirring it. And let me give you an example of that over here. So the other day, I shredded up some chicken. And this chicken was made using the same technique that I'm using today. So it's just kind of shredded up in there, and all I did was stir it up in the crock pot with my fork, and it broke it up just like this. And I can use this for sandwiches, I can use it for a brown rice bowl, I can use it for stews, I can use it for burrito filling, I mean, you name it. This is just pure clean protein. I can even heat it up and just snack on it by itself. So, whatever you want. Alright, so the second component is having some clean, healthy carbs that you can go to. And brown rice is one of the better solutions for that. Brown rice is better than white rice because it has the bran, which is the brown stuff on the outside, still on the rice. 90% of the nutrients in rice comes from the bran on the outside. White rice has that stripped away. So we want to make sure that we're using brown rice, and I'm using medium grain brown rice. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes longer to cook than white rice, but it's worth it for me. So I'm just going to take about 4 cups of water, which I've pre-measured out here in my handy cup. So 4 cups is also 32 ounces. I'm just going to drop that in my pressure cooker. And when you're cooking brown rice, you do about twice as much water as your rice. So I'm doing 2 cups of brown rice, so I'm using 4 cups of water. So here's 1 cup, and I'm not going to add it yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this water to a boil. And then once it's boiling, I'll add both of my cups of rice, and I'll let it sit in the boiling water for about 1 minute, and then I'll stir it up. Usually I'll put a little bit of sea salt in there, maybe like half a tablespoon, or maybe even a teaspoon, and then I'll cover it up and let it simmer for 30 minutes on a medium-low heat. And then I'll turn off the heat after 30 minutes, and then I'll let it steam with no active flame, no heat, for another 15 minutes or so, and my rice is done. So after that, I'll store my chicken, which will be done tonight in about 8 hours, in some Tupperware, and I'll store my rice in a separate container. Whoops, I turned the wrong burner on. I'll store my rice in a separate container, and that way, let's say, for example, it's Monday, and I'm super busy, and it's noon, and I want to make lunch, so I'll just run downstairs, or if I'm out and about somewhere, I'll take some rice and some chicken with me. I'll usually do about 4 to 6 ounces of shredded chicken and half a cup of rice. And I'll just mix the two of them together. If I want a little bit extra flavor, maybe do some low sodium soy sauce, and I'll pair it together with like a green apple or a pear. So some sort of a fruit or something to get my blood sugar up. And of course, I love fruit. It's nice and sweet and tasty. So that is 2 of the things that I do. Here's one more thing that I do, and this is for snacks. So these are called Quest bars, and Quest bars are available on Amazon. They're available at GNC, which is a local nutrition center. Most cities have them. So basically what I went out and did is I bought 3 boxes, and if you buy 3 at GNC, you'll get the third one for free. And I like free. So I bought 3 flavors just to try them out. This is chocolate brownie, which is probably overall my favorite. This is vanilla almond crunch, and I really like this one as well. Probably my second favorite right now. And this is chocolate chip cookie dough. And I've got to say, so far this is probably the favorite of my picky roommate Michelle. She's very hard to please, so hey, if she likes these, they've got something going on. But this just gives me something that I can very quickly grab if I'm going to a meeting, or if I am hanging out in the evening and I have a craving but I don't feel like making something. I'll go to these bad boys. And the nice thing about Quest bars is that they have no added sugar, they have no sugar alcohols, they have about 20 grams of really clean protein in them, and they use some great whole foods in them rather than a bunch of pre-processed stuff. And that's what we want to do. The more whole foods we're eating, foods as God created and God intended, the better off we'll be nutritionally. So just to recap, the 3 things that I do as a foundation for the rest of my week are to buy chicken in bulk. It'll save you money in the long run, believe me. Cook it in a crock pot. Just took me about 5 minutes of prep, and then throwing it in the crock pot and walking away to do that. And I'll put it in a Tupperware. And brown rice. For my carbs, these can be combined together, the chicken and brown rice, in a number of ways. Awesome, awesome foundation for lunches and dinners. And then lastly, for my snacks, the Quest bars. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at coachjon@wolfpackfit.com. That's COACHJON@wolfpackfit.com. Or just ask me questions in the Facebook group. So I'll see you guys around. Have a great weekend.